Forget everything you think you know about Caitlain Clark. You might know her for her iconic half-court shots, her record-breaking numbers, or her status as a rising star in the WNBA. But Caitlain Clark is more than just a basketball player. She's rewriting the rules of the game and redefining what it means to be an athlete in today's world. From her humble beginnings in Iowa to her historic rookie season in the WNBA, Caitlain's journey is filled with twists, adversity, and triumphs that go far beyond the hardwood. But what truly makes Caitlain Clark not just a player, but an icon? What is it about her that goes beyond the headlines and makes her a force we've never quite seen before? Let's pull back the curtain and dive into the story of a girl who proved that passion, resilience, and humility could change the game forever. It all began in the small town of Des Moines, Iowa. Caitlain wasn't born into a world of luxury or privilege. Instead, she was born into a family where sports weren't just a pastime, they were a way of life. Her father, Brent, was a college basketball and baseball player, and her mother, Anne, was a marketing pro with sports in her DNA. Caitlain's grandfather was a legendary high school football coach. Sports weren't just entertainment in the Clark household, they were oxygen. By the time Caitlain was 5, it was clear that she was destined for greatness. While most kids were playing tag or drawing hopscotch, Caitlain was on the basketball court, working on her jump shot. There was just one problem. Iowa had no local girls' teams for her age. But Caitlain didn't let that stop her. Instead of waiting for the perfect opportunity, her dad signed her up to play with the boys. And so, at the tender age of 6, Caitlain Clark walked into a gym full of skeptical eyes and raised eyebrows, ready to prove she belonged. Playing with boys wasn't just a challenge, it was her proving ground. Every shot, every bump, every fall, and every moment of doubt became the foundation for the fierce competitor Caitlain would become. She didn't flinch, she didn't back down. It was in those early moments that Caitlain began to build something that would carry her through her entire career. A quiet fire, a calm defiance that would fuel her relentless pursuit of greatness. Caitlain didn't just love basketball, she breathed it. Her passion was undeniable. While most kids were hanging out with friends or watching cartoons, Caitlain was on the basketball court. It didn't matter if it was raining, snowing, or scorching hot. Caitlain was always out there, practicing her shots, perfecting her craft. She wasn't just talented, she was obsessed. But her obsession wasn't limited to basketball. Caitlain was naturally gifted in other sports too. Softball, volleyball, soccer, tennis, even golf. She excelled at all of them. Yet none of these could compare to the pull basketball had on her. There was something about the game that spoke to her soul, something that made her cry when she couldn't practice. At just 8 years old, Caitlain was devastated when a rainstorm canceled her basketball practice. It wasn't because of a bad grade or a scraped knee. It was because she couldn't be with the ball. That wasn't just talent. That was obsession. The kind that turns good players into great ones. The kind that turns dreams into reality. And reality struck when Caitlain entered the University of Iowa. With little fanfare and no viral hype, Caitlain was ready to make her mark. But those who knew her game weren't wondering if she would make noise. They were wondering how loud it would be. Spoiler alert, it was deafening. In 2020, Caitlain Clark entered the University of Iowa with little to no attention from the national media. There was no viral hype, no huge social media presence, yet Caitlain quickly made a name for herself with her unique ability to shoot from anywhere on the court. In her very first season, she averaged over 26.6 points per game, dominating the NCAA women's basketball scene. But it wasn't just the numbers that had people talking. It was her fearless shooting, her ability to sink shots from nearly half court, and her relentless drive to succeed. One play after another, Caitlain Clark turned heads across the nation. The first time she pulled up from nearly the logo behind the three-point line, fans and commentators were left stunned. What started as a laughable attempt soon turned into a swish, and the crowd went wild. By the time her sophomore season came around, Caitlain was averaging over 30 points a night and racking up double-doubles with ease. She wasn't just playing the game, she was changing it. She became the face of Iowa basketball, and her name echoed in gyms, living rooms, and sports news broadcasts everywhere. Even with her dominance on the court, Caitlain Clark faced challenges off it. Despite breaking records, leading her team to championships, and capturing the nation's attention, Caitlain found herself constantly fighting against the perception that she didn't belong. From her earliest days on the court, Caitlain had been judged not for her talent, but for her gender. One memorable moment came when Caitlain was just 6 years old after leading her team to an AAU state championship. Instead of celebrating, parents from the opposing team complained not about the score, but about the fact that she was a girl playing at all. That kind of setback would have been crushing for most kids, but not for Caitlain. Instead of crying or arguing, she picked up the ball, kept shooting, and set a goal in her mind. I won't lose just because I'm a girl. That became her mantra, a quiet defiance that would propel her through all the criticism and hate she would face later in her career. In 2024, Caitlain Clark entered the WNBA as the #1 pick, a highly anticipated moment for women's basketball fans. But Caitlain didn't just meet expectations, she shattered them. Her debut game set a new viewership record, drawing 2.1 million viewers. Every move she made was analyzed, every shot dissected. By the end of her rookie season, Caitlain had earned Rookie of the Year honors, made the All-WNBA first team, and had become a household name in the sport. But it wasn't just her performance on the court that turned heads. It was Caitlain's influence off the court. Her marketability skyrocketed, with major endorsement deals from Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, and more. Caitlain wasn't just a basketball player. She was a cultural icon. Her jersey became one of the best sellers in the WNBA, and young girls across the country looked up to her as a symbol of hope, power, and possibility. Caitlain Clark was no longer just an athlete. She was a business empire in the making. In 2024, Caitlain inked a historic $28 million deal with Nike, the biggest contract ever signed by a woman in basketball. The deal also included her own signature shoe line, a rare honor for any athlete, let alone a rookie. Caitlain wasn't just an athlete, she was a brand. But her journey didn't stop there. She also partnered with Wilson Sporting Goods to launch her own basketball line, the first time a woman had ever done so at this level. But Caitlain wasn't just focused on building her brand. She was also focused on the future of women's sports. In 2024, she joined an investment group backing a growing women's soccer team in Cincinnati, a move that solidified her place as a future business mogul. Caitlain wasn't just playing the game, she was changing the way athletes built their legacies. Despite Caitlain's meteoric rise to stardom, she remains grounded and deeply connected to her roots. While her life may be filled with flashy endorsement deals and championship aspirations, her personal life remains remarkably humble. At her core, Caitlain Clark is still the same girl who grew up in a small town in Iowa, driven by a love for basketball and a desire to be her true self, both on and off the court. One of the most important aspects of Caitlain's life is her relationship with her faith. A practicing Catholic, Caitlain often finds solace and comfort in attending Mass at St. Francis of Assisi Parish back home in Des Moines. This is not a performative act for Caitlain, but a deeply personal practice that helps her stay grounded amidst the chaos of her growing fame. For Caitlain, faith isn't about putting on a show. It's about maintaining a strong sense of self when the world around her constantly demands more of her. It's not just her faith that keeps Caitlain centered. Her relationship with her boyfriend Connor McCaffrey is another critical source of stability. Connor, a former Iowa Hawkeye player, now works as an assistant coach at Butler University. The couple's relationship didn't start in the tabloids or under the glare of camera flashes. It began quietly, far from the spotlight, where Caitlain and Connor could just be themselves. Their relationship didn't go public until August 2023, when Caitlain shared a simple photo of the two of them on a boat, arms around each other. The caption read, "Best way to enjoy summer," a testament to the simplicity and authenticity that defined their relationship. Connor isn't a man chasing media attention. He's Caitlain's anchor, always there in the stands, always supporting her from behind the scenes. Win or lose, Connor remains her constant. While Caitlain's career may be soaring, her personal life remains remarkably low-key. Caitlain's sense of humility extends into her living arrangements. After being drafted by the Indiana Fever, Caitlain planted her roots in Indianapolis, purchasing a sleek $800,000 condo downtown. But this wasn't just any condo. It wasn't about showing off or accumulating wealth. It was a strategic choice, placing her close to her training ground with a location that blended professional energy with personal peace. Her apartment is a reflection of who Caitlain is: modern, intentional, and quietly confident. Neutral tones, open spaces,